efforts failed for both men and women. They wanted proof that we can procreate here.
Hola amigos de Aventuras Nerd, mi nombre es Ahmed Camacho y el día de hoy nos tocó entrevistar a Tim Fehlbaum. That's correct, right?
That's correct, perfect.
Okay, bueno, él es el director de la película.
That's the only part I understood, Tim Fehlbaum. I don't know about the rest. I don't know what you said. You kind of said like, what this guy. Tim Fehlbaum part was correct.
But that was correct. Okay, perfect. Well, right now you just made a film called The Colony, right? It's going to premiere here, and I don't know if it is in Latin America only or if it is only in Mexico, but it's going to premiere in the next coming months, right?
Yes, great.
Okay, perfect. I also saw that you made another movie named Hell.
Yes.
And basically it shares like the same, let's say, the same setting, you know, the post-apocalyptic and what is happening around certain characters. I wanted to know how was the process of writing this script and if there's something that interests you more about these kind of settings.
That's a good question. I ask myself that question because, of course, I see too that there are similarities, but I didn't plan. I didn't plan it when thinking about the movie or with the co-writer starting to develop the story. It's obviously something that fascinates me about this genre, and I think it's that what I think is interesting about this genre is that you can say something about the world today, but in a heightened context. You know, and that's interesting about this kind of genre. But the idea for Tides, for this movie, I come from, I always have a visual trigger first. I have something that visually interests me, that I think, this is a visually an interesting idea for a movie. And in this kind, it was that I was for the first time in the German tidelands, where it takes place, the movie. This is, I don't know if you have it that extreme in South America, but where the tides are really extreme. So that when the water is gone, it's gone. And you have hundreds of meters of expanse of muds and puddles, basically the kind of landscape where the movie begins. And I was standing there and thought, like, why did never ever someone shoot a science fiction movie here?
Actually, now that you mention it, we don't have that. I mean,
yeah.
Something that I know of, and I travel Mexico for almost everything. So no, now that you mention it, I didn't even know that existed in reality. I thought that it was a set, and what you're telling me is that it was not.
No, it exists in reality. I mean, it exists in Mexico too, like ebb and flow. It's just very small difference. While here in this kind of landscape in northern Germany, it's extreme. It's like it's a huge expanse, which is suddenly you are on the earth. And within half an hour, the water can come back. And then suddenly it's all water. And I stood in this landscape, and it was very late, and the water was about to come back. And I was so fascinated and thought, hey, this is a great setting for a science fiction film. Why I could shoot a low budget science fiction film here? I don't need any special effects, nothing. I just need a young astronaut waking up in a spacesuit here, and put the camera here, and you would believe that this is like an expedition to another planet, to a strange water planet or whatever. And then me and the writer, Mariko Minaguchi, we started to think about the story, and we went to the German Deutsche Luft- und Raumfahrt, which is basically the German NASA.
Okay.
It's like NASA, they for the agency for space traveling and for space observation. And we talked to people there because we just wanted to know about ideas on traveling to other people, to other planets and stuff. And talking to the scientists there, it just opened up our eyes to something that we already know, that they basically said to us, if there's something we know yet about possible life on other planets, is that it is highly not probable that we will ever find a planet within our reach which even closely has these magic conditions that Earth has for being a habitat of life. And they said, actually, no, instead of searching these planets, we should rather take care of our planet. All their research only tells us how unique our planet is. And at this point, the co-writer and I said, like, why we had so many movies that tell stories about leaving the planet. Wouldn't it be interesting about a mission sending back to Earth after it was left? So, yeah.
No, okay, that's a nice takeaway from that. I mean, of course, we already know that the data and the science is telling us that we have to take care of this place because there's no other, like you said, in arm's reach, right? So yeah, I mean, that's a nice sentiment.
Yeah, I knew that before, and everybody knows that. But when you talk to these people where you know they really know what they're talking about, then it just has another impact.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's a really nice answer. Also, I wanted to know, I seen that you work also with Roland Emmerich in the past in your previous feature film. How was to work again with him after, I don't know, it was maybe 10 years or something like that?
Yeah, it took me too long to make another movie, but that's a different question, which I'm glad you didn't ask. I'd rather talk about Roland because Roland is my mentor. My first movie wouldn't have been possible with him. It's in German language. Was a very, back at the time, nowadays we have a lot of TV series, for example, like Dark or so coming out of Germany. I think Dark, you certainly know, it's very popular in South America, I think, which are in a different genre than you usually know from German films. But at the time when we made my first movie, it wasn't at all. And since Roland then read the script and saw my short movies and said, I believe in the project, his name opened doors just to get the movie believable. That's the one thing. Same was for here. But for me, the more important thing is his creative advice. He has just great ideas about two things. First is, although you would think he's using so much, he has this huge special effects movies, he always has idea on how to make things simpler somehow. And he had the idea with the overexposure and stuff in my first movie. How can you make things simpler? And then you have, when you open up, you can really use the money for an interesting wide shot or so. And the other thing is that he has a great feeling for storytelling. It's just that he just gave me advice in editing a lot. When we edited this movie, we were at the also like and he had great ideas on. He just knows how to lead an audience very much. And
I mean, he's one of the greats of science fictions in the history.
Definitely.
Also, I mean, you mentioned that you were in the process of writing this movie, and there's something, I believe that there's something that the writers also live in one of the characters that is their own. So in which character do you see more of yourself?
Oh, that's a good question. I never got that question asked before. Certainly not the tough astronaut. I want to say that's a good question. You know what? But I got heard very often that I very much look like the young girl.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have that long hair anymore, but people always said, did you cast your own daughter or so? And so I would go for this character.
Okay. Also, I mean, I don't know if you can describe your film in just one word.
In one word? That's a tough challenge. I would say gripping.
Gripping. Okay, perfect. Well, you know, right now we're reaching also to like the end of, let's say, a history moment worldwide, which is, of course, the COVID pandemic. And I imagine you were in the process of filming it, or maybe editing or distributing it with the COVID. How was the process for you? Was it more challenging, or it was even more smoother than before?
I think there's two sides of that story. The process of making the movie, it was before COVID, so we were doing it in a normal, but then by when we were at the time of finishing the movie, it started, so we had a reshoot with COVID, which was an interesting experience because we were all wearing masks and it was a very reduced team. And again, I think that this reduction also led to interesting ideas that you knew you couldn't have the big team or so, and that was interesting. The release of the movie was tough, of course, because it got pushed back, then pushed back, then pushed back again. And for example, also another thing that was frustrating for me, this movie got shown at the Berlinale, at the Berlinale special. Berlinale is one of the most important film festivals in the world, and I was very proud that a science fiction movie is not very often that it gets selected for the Berlinale. And this 1 year, and I always went to Berlinale, and the 1 year that I would have been there with my movie, it didn't happen. That's and the world premiere of the movie during this Berlinale, most of the people saw it on their laptops, and we spent a lot of effort and a lot of money also, and I think in making the movie for the big screen.
Yeah, of course.
I always think in this discussion, I mean, you're wearing these cool headphones. In this discussion, it's always about this the size of the image. But I think what is so great about the theatrical experience is the sound.
Yeah, it is.
We spent so much. We did such great care the sound design, so that the audience really gets drawn into the movie, that it's gripping. That was frustrating then, that I just knew it's the world premiere of my movie and everybody's watching on the laptop who's watching it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame, of course, not only with your film, but of course many others that have to be, I don't want to say maybe reduced to, but the format was not the one they were intended for in the beginning, right? So
Yes.
yeah, it's one thing that we lost, and we lost a lot. I mean, it's the COVID pandemic, but
Yes.
well, it looks like it's finishing, and right now I think it's one of the reasons why we're going to see. I mean, I know it was premiered last year, but right now here in at least in Mexico, it's going to be premiere in the coming months. So it's an opportunity to see it the way it was supposed to be.
That's great. That's good to hear. I just saw yesterday the movie The Northman. I don't know if you
yeah, I already saw it. Yeah.
And I saw it in the theater, and I just thought, I'm like, it's like I could never have this. It was such a great. Also, the audio design inside, it would have never been that intense as it was in the theater.
Yeah, if you were watching in your home, you maybe lose the grip from time to time, because it is the sound, it is the absence also of sound that is so interesting.
Yes, exactly, the absence also. They did a good job with, yeah, you're right. Yes.
Okay. Last questions. Are you excited for the movie to be seen in Mexico? And also, if you have, you want to say something for the people over here that is going to see it?
Oh no, I'm not prepared for this. I'm very excited for the movie to be shown in South America. Of course, because two things. First, I know that Roland Emmerich is a big name in South America, and they love his kind of movies, and so I think it's cool that I have a Roland Emmerich Presents movie in Mexico. And the second thing is that the mother of my child actually is her mother is Colombian.
Oh.
Carmen is her name. She's from Colombia. Also the grandmother of my child. And all of their families there, and she's saying like, yeah, the movie's starting and so on. So that's for me a cool thing.
Okay, perfect. That's very, very sweet.
And I think you just have a special passion for these kind of movies. That's probably also why Roland Emmerich's movies are so popular here. And I hope that we can also profit from that passion and that our movie gets seen.
Hopefully you will, and I already saw it. For me, it was an amazing movie. I'm really excited to see more of your work also.
Thank you very much.
Well, that be everything from me. Thank you so much, Tim.
Yeah, thank you. Bye, James. Bye.
None of us should have come back.